Hi, we're here at Musikmesse 2014, and I'm going to tell you a little about TubeTech, the blue gear, and how the story is, what units we kind of started with and where we ended. And the very first TubeTech is this model, the program EQ, that originally was called P1A, and originally it was made as a copy, as a direct, complete copy of the Pultec EQ P1A. And it's a passive EQ, very simple design, all passive EQ followed by a high quality tube amplifier. And the sound of this EQ is still amongst the very best you can get in the world, like the Pultecs are if they are in good shape. So we just took that on, and that was the beginning. It was not meant to be a company in the beginning, it was just made for fun. But then it turned into a company. The next model was the mid-range equalizer. That's also a copy of the same Pultec model, but with a little more wide bandwidth on the boost and cut bands to make it more musical. The next model that was made is a model we don't do anymore. That's a 2-channel mic pre, where we have a new one that we are missing today. MP1A was the old one, MP2A is the new one. And then what was next in line, 1987, was the TubeTech CL1B compressor. And this has turned out to be, it's a very simple design also. It's an optical compressor with an optical element doing the compression, and also followed by a high quality tube op amp. And this has turned out to be, throughout those many years it's been on the market, to be chosen by a lot of people as their personal compressor. A lot of well-known stars like Stevie Wonder, Mick Jagger, like the rappers like Kanye West are using this and only performing using this unit, which is pretty interesting. And even with modern technology, this kind of old school compressor still performs much better than anything you can get. So the next modules we turn into the newer models is over here. Is it okay? Sorry. Then throughout the years there was more model. There was a stereo model of, not of the CL1B, but based on the CL1B, that has a little different sound. Very nice for instruments like piano and bass mixes, for just keeping level in a musical way. Very nice for that. And then we spent a long time on the only VCA, tube VCA compressor we have, the LCA2B. That is a pure tube VCA, so there's a tube in there doing the leveling and the compression. And designing this, we worked with a Fairchild, but it was not intended to be a Fairchild. It was intended to have the sound of this American rock and roll compressor. But this is a more simple design than the Fairchild, and it's a little more, the Fairchild loses some of the high frequencies, gets a little dull when it compresses hard. The LCA keeps the transparency all the way. And the next compressor in the line is the flagship, in my opinion, the multiband SMC2B, which is a 3-band optical compressor, stereo. That is where the frequency spectrum is divided in 3 bands with 2 crossover circuits that sum everything perfect, and then you can add individual compression for every band. Wonderful unit, especially for mixing. Some people use this as a main tool, like good old Al Smith, that most older people know as a guy that's been around always and that's still very active. He does all his coloring and finishing of his sound only with this unit. So that's kind of it. And then we have our modular system, which is, as a matter of fact, the same units. The program, these 2 small EQs, EM1A, is the same as this. The thing is that these were originally built by point-to-point wiring, so there's a lot of air in there. So this is squeezed down to size, but it's not squeezed down in quality. Same transformers, same circuits, with a high quality power supply. So the rack is our own design, it's not 500 series or anything. The compressors are similar to a CL1B, but with a different optical element, that we chose to have this working better than CL1B on transients, on drum tracks, but similar on vocals. And then we have the 2 mic pre's that are the modular version of our new MP2A, really high quality, really transparent but warm sounding mic pre's. And as the last thing, not the last thing that we designed, but for quite a lot of years we'd had this very simple summing amp, which is just straight tube summing, high quality. And it proves that when people compare this, people who think that mixing in the box is nice, you just need to try this and compare that, then you know what happens. And what happens when you don't do it in the box, because this is just summing everything more precisely and more musically. And then it has a very, very nice low end. So that's kind of the whole TubeTech range.